So, when did you become a non-feminist woman? Could you tell me about your history with feminism?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I would never have considered myself a feminist. I was kind of it wasn't it wasn't my cause,
Hmm.
but I heard what other women were saying and I was like, that doesn't really resonate with me. I don't feel like I'm living in that world. But it was really when I was a young adult and I started meeting men who have lived through a lot of the same experiences that feminism presents as a women's issue. You know, men who have been in abusive relationships, men who have been sexually assaulted, men who have had horrific things happen to them due to a lack of reproductive rights. When I started to really see, like, this is not a gendered problem and we should be broadening the conversation to include everybody who's affected.
Hmm.
And so that was kind of, especially, I mean, I have very dear friends who had been really terribly abused. And that kind of got me up on a soapbox, and I never really got down.
Okay. So, what do you think about patriarchy? What is your view on the patriarchy or the concept of it? Or I don't know if I
It's
said
a
the word correctly, but
sure,
yeah.
sure. No, it's a contentious concept. I don't think there is a patriarchy. I don't know if there's ever been a patriarchy.
Hmm.
Not the way that people think of with the term. You know, we've always had unjust expectations placed upon both sexes
Hmm.
that led to very real, very serious human rights issues. And the
Hmm.
idea that it was ever one sex oppressing the other
Hmm.
is really kind of dismissive of the other half of that coin.
Right.
You know, you look at what men go through, and
Right.
it's every bit as horrific as the things that women have gone through.
Right. Society has oppressed men and women with in
Hmm.
different ways. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, by expecting us to do things that not every man or woman, yeah, and also just difficult things, basically. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So, what are your thoughts on traditional gender roles?
I think if people want to live by traditional rules, more power to them. I support them. And if people don't want to do that, they want to do their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
More power to them. I support them. Like it's a pathway. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there are many pathways, all of which or many of which are legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as long as you're getting the things done that you and your family need to get done, however you want to break up the division of labor
Mm-hmm.
is up to you and your family.
Okay. What are your thoughts on intersectionality, LGBTQ issues, and so on?
So a lot of those movements raise interesting or valid or like existing issues, though I don't always agree with their approach, their ideology. I mean, I think that there is legitimacy to the concept that depending on what sort of group you're in, your experiences might be different. You might have to deal with different things. Like I think that a lot of transphobia and homophobia are fundamentally caused by misandry,
Mm-hmm.
where we are skeptical of people that we see as men behaving not like traditional men, where we try to enforce that old school role on people. And what that looks like is you're not allowed to dress that way, you're not allowed to date this way, you're not allowed to live this way.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so,
Okay.
I mean, you could call that intersectional.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, so how would you respond to feminists calling you or other women with views that are similar to you a pick me girl or so on?
Yeah, I get that a lot. I hear that a lot. And I have a lot of kind of prepackaged responses to it because it's just ubiquitous. This idea that I can't be a real person with my own ideas. They have to have been put there by a man. They have to be in the service of men.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's kind of ironic that people who claim to be against misogyny are saying such like really on its face misogynistic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And not to mention like the way that people are called pick me for being like tomboyish, or like, this is feminists trying to reinforce old school gender roles, not break them down.
So, okay, so what is your take on MRAs then? If you would say you're a non-feminist woman, are you also not an MRA, or would you see yourself as an MRA, or what is your take on MRA?
Yes, I do, but I'll provide the caveat that there's a lot of factions in the MRM, and so I don't agree with every faction. I don't agree with every interpretation, but I do agree with the fundamental set of goals that men should be liberated, like women were liberated a long time ago, that men should be treated like human beings, that we should address the issues men face. Yeah, I absolutely am a part of a movement to pursue those goals.
Okay. So so I'm sure there's some points on which you agree with feminists. What points do you agree with them on, and which do you not, would you say what would be like the fundamental thing you disagree with them on, or what are some points that you agree with them?
I agree with their stated goal set. I think, of gender equality, of women being free to pursue the life they want to pursue. I think that the average feminist is very bad at pursuing those goals. I think they aren't doing what they say they're doing. But I agree with the goals. The disagreements come in where they believe that we have a hierarchical system where men are
above
running
women.
Everything. And yeah, I mean, they believe in patriarchy, and I don't believe in patriarchy.
Right. Okay.
Like, we can talk about, there's men in power, but like,
who are those men?
There are women in power.
Yeah.
And there are way more men that are living on the streets than are in power. So it's just they have a very, I would say, simplified view of gender dynamics.